And now, fighting in the UFC featherweight division, Max Blessed Holloway versus Brian T-City Ortega. Oh my God, these guys. I want to start this video with thanking Holloway, Ortega, Shevchenko, Joanna, and everybody else who fought on this card for our entertainment. Man, you get a second sign of respect when you watch these guys live, what they do, how good they are at what they do, especially Holloway and Ortega. I just kept saying when I was watching that fight, man, these guys are the best in the world at what they do, and it shows. These guys are warriors, okay? The entire four fighters in the co and main event were warriors. They fought insanely good fights. Everybody, from Joanna, Valentina, Brian, Holloway, Santos, Bokniak, Dawudu, Nelson, Oliveira, Asarov, Gadelha, everybody fought amazing. For this video, if you haven't seen, I've released a one going over all the other fights on this card. But we're talking the two co-main event and main event, the two final fights on the card, which blew up, man. I couldn't believe how many Polish fans were in the audience in Toronto. It was insanity. And then there was like a couple of Shevchenko fans just pissing off the Polish fans. It was hilarious. It was great. It was great. No real animosity there, but it was just a great fight to watch and a great atmosphere. Everybody knew Shevchenko deserved to win that fight. And when you watch Shevchenko live, you realize how fast Shevchenko is and how good she is. And Joanna is too. I thought like the big difference here was Valentina's wrestling. She was able to tire Joanna out. I would love to see these two in a stand-up fight. But this is MMA. Shevchenko was able to use her power from fighting at 135, take Joanna down a lot. And when she took her down, she wasted a lot of Joanna's energy. She passed a couple times and delivered a lot of strikes from the top. So Shevchenko had the advantage on top. But I felt the striking was pretty even though later on in the fight, when Joanna was getting tired, in my opinion, tired because of the takedowns that happened earlier, I thought that Shevchenko was taking over a bit. And Shevchenko won, deserved. And as I said in my preview video, she's not going to lose for a long time in this division. She came out and talked a lot of crap to the old champion, Montano, who she thought did her wrong because she didn't want to fight. It took her a year to fight for with her title, defend her title, put the belt on the line, and that's not what champions do. And Shevchenko knows that, and Shevchenko is going to put it all on the line every night, and she wants to get right back in there. And I think it's going to be against Jessica Eye. I think Jessica Eye is going to get the next shot. She fought on UFC 231. I think they did that for a purpose. We'll see if I'm right. Now, getting to the main event, the audience was going crazy for this fight. I'm surprised because the audience never got tired. I never got tired, man. I was getting hyped for every fight. Ortega came out. He came out to a huge reception for Brian Ortega. And then Holloway followed with another huge reception. These guys both got massive receptions. I kind of felt like Ortega was the crowd favorite for this fight. A lot of people were talking Ortega, and maybe he was the crowd favorite. I don't know if you guys heard the same thing through the TV, but I felt like Ortega was the crowd favorite. But Holloway and Ortega put on war and respect to both of those guys. How did Ortega stay standing? And even watching it live, I felt like in the first two rounds, Ortega was putting it on Max as much as Max was putting it on Ortega. I just felt, and from the facial, from the cuts and the bruises and the blood, I felt like Holloway was taking over. He was doing more damage to Ortega, but still I felt like Ortega put up. Max would go in, and what he would do to Holloway to put Holloway down is he would overwhelm him. But when he would start overwhelming Ortega would jump back with a massive right hand, good, dirty, clean elbow, inside elbows, and it would shake Max, and Max would go, all right. And then they'd get back, and then Holloway would start landing, and Ortega would just be landing the big shots. And I think that the output from Max overpowered the power of Brian Ortega, and I think Holloway's big for this division. I think he has more power than a lot of guys in this division, and it shows. He hasn't lost in 5 years. He's a problem. So what's next for Max Holloway? Because if you want to just hear about how crazy the fight was, go watch that was a crazy fight. Go watch the fight. Don't even listen to people. Go watch the fight. Bless yourself in the blessed era, baby. What's next? Holloway's going to go to Hawaii. Holloway's going to fight in Hawaii next. His opponent is a question that we probably have. There's a lot of opponents being thrown around. So we have Conor McGregor, Tony Ferguson, Khabib. There's a lot of guys that Holloway is lined up to fight. And what do I think is going to happen? I would like to see Holloway fight McGregor. That would be nice. McGregor and Holloway at featherweight right now, I think, is the perfect time for it. And it's another fight that's like two fighters in their very prime, their prime of their career. Even though you could argue Conor was already in his prime and he started to slow, but I still think they're both in their prime right now. And it's two prime guys and two greatest featherweights of all time. There's arguments between those two, and then Aldo, obviously, because Aldo dominated the division since its inception. But Holloway Ortega, Holloway McGregor, and then you have Holloway Ferguson, which is a great fight. Great fight to see. I really badly, if I could have my way, it would be Ferguson Khabib, but then the next fight after Ferguson Khabib would be Ortega versus Khabib. I want to see Khabib take Ortega down. I would rather see Khabib versus Ortega than Khabib versus Holloway. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like Ortega poses a bigger threat to a lot of guys. Okay, let me summarize this point. I feel like Brian Ortega is more dangerous to a well-versed fighter, like a good wrestler, where Ortega is more dangerous than Holloway is. I'm not saying that Ortega is better than Holloway. It's just styles make fights. And I felt like if Ortega shot the takedown more often, went to find the choke and stuff like that, Ortega was out there to put on a show, and I put up a lot of respect for that. I put up a lot of respect that Ortega, he hardly used his jiu-jitsu, even though he took him down once. I think it was in the second or third round where Ortega pressured him, got his back, and then he just flipped off, and everybody got scared. We all gasped there because when Ortega finds something, when he's trying to get a limb, he's going to submit you. He's that good, and I was surprised that he didn't try and submit him, but he wanted to put on a show, and respect to Brian Ortega for wanting to put on a show because he put on a show indeed. But I feel like Ortega matches up better with Khabib because of the fact Khabib's going to go take him down, but then Ortega's going to attack him from the ground. It's the same argument I have for Tony Ferguson over Conor McGregor, because Ferguson's going to attack Khabib on the ground. I really hope Khabib doesn't retire. That would be annoying. Because then it's all stipulation on would Khabib fight this guy, would Khabib beat this guy. I think Ferguson has a good shot of beating Khabib, but there's I could be wrong. Khabib is dominant, man. You don't want to take anything away from Khabib. But yeah, that would be my future pick. Holloway's going to get a fight in Hawaii next. I would love to see it, McGregor versus Holloway in Hawaii. That would be insane, and I think McGregor would be up for it. Massive fight in the making. But I think sooner rather than later, Holloway's going to go up and Ortega's going to hold the featherweight belt. And then maybe even way further down the line, we're going to see Ortega Holloway again. I think a Ortega Holloway fight is going to happen again. These guys are both young in their primes, and they're still going to advance in their fighting careers. And yeah, just awesome fights. UFC 231. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I want to thank the UFC. I want to put this out there. Thank you, UFC. Thank you, all the fighters that fought at UFC 231. Thank you, Toronto, because that was just amazing. It was one of the greatest nights of my life. It's memorable moments, and you can tell by my voice I was into it all night long. Thank you guys so much for watching, though. Again, if you watch UFC 231, let me know your thoughts in the comments. But that'll do it for me here today. If you're watching in the day, have a great day. If you're watching at night, have a great night. And peace out, guys.